Thought Leaders, a closer look for the curious.
Okay, so thanks, Colin, for joining us. So, Colin, you're the course coordinator on the Level 8 Applied Industrial Science course. So, wondering if you could maybe just tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so the course, the way it established, I suppose, what it was intended for is for people that were in the workplace who wanted to progress to a level 8 honours degree. Now, one of the prerequisites from that would be that they would originally have to have a level 7 ordinary degree to get onto the course. And many people have done that. Many people have joined the industry, worked for many years, and then I suppose maybe have been hampered by not having a level 8. So this was a way, I suppose, to acquire a level 8 within a year with a high proportion of the grade associated with workplace-based activity. So what a student does on a day-to-day basis actually goes towards that degree.
And so that workplace-based activity that you mentioned there, that's kind of covered in some modules. Would you maybe describe maybe what's kind of the main component of those modules?
Okay, so the way the course, I suppose, is set up is kind of different. It runs over 3 semesters. It runs for 12 months solid. So in semester 1, really what you're talking about in relation to work placement would be your traditional PDP, what you do, the training that you do. You would do self-reflection on that. And these are new words to me when I started this as well. It's looking at what you do in a day-to-day activity, looking at your strengths and weaknesses and places for improvement. In semester 2, then, you write short reports on industry-related activities or topics that you find interested in relating to your field. Now, this just isn't related to pharmaceutical, it's related to medical device or bio, a science-related role that you have within the workplace and a topic that you find of interest, or even a regulation you find of interest. You write reports on them. Semester 3 then, and this would be the sole activity that you would have to do over the summer period, would be that you would do a project in work. And you would document that project. And that project could be like working on a validation, a new technique. It could be transferring a process. Like it's wide open. So you would use that activity, document it, and write a report and a short presentation. And that would associate to 15 credits. Now, 15 credits is a large portion of the overall mark for this course, but it's credit for what you're actually physically doing in the workplace anyway. And that's what's different about the course in general. Like I coordinate work placements for undergrads that we have here on site, and there is no substitution for being in the workplace. It's where you learn your trade, and there are very few courses that give you credit for that. Like you don't learn how to drive a taxi from a book. You learn how to drive a taxi from driving, and you learn how to work in the field from working in the field. And I suppose that's what we were trying to tap into and give people credit for.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it kind of gives them, I suppose, as you said, an opportunity to get credit for work that they're already doing. And then the other part of it is, I suppose, online kind of more academic modules. And are they related to the industries that the students will be working in?
They are. So we have a large, I suppose, dialogue or a large selection of online courses that run for various fields, for medical device, for pharma, for biopharma. And what we've done is that we have specifically picked modules from that cohort that we have that would suit an industrial setting to the best of our ability. So it's hard to get everything involved, but we have like calibration and validation modules, we have biocontamination, we have reg affairs. So we have modules that are applicable to the industry. Now, eventually, and it's further down the road, what we nearly want is like a catalogue of modules, and the students could tailor their own degree, but that is many years down the road. So for now, we've picked the ones that are most applicable to an industrial setting, and that's what we'll run off.
Oh yeah, it's great. And I suppose it gives students the opportunity. They've got the workplace-based learning, but then they're also doing stuff relevant to the
And
workplace.
the other thing about it as well is that when they join those online modules, they won't be just as a single class. They'll join the online module, and there may be people from other courses doing the same module, and they will have industry experience, gaining from those with no industry experience to those with 20 years plus. And you get to tap into that. You join larger groups, you get to hear their experience. And if the lectures are interactive enough, they'll take that information on board during the lectures, and it'll be shared with the groups.
Oh yeah, it's great. And I suppose you mentioned it's workplace based, so anyone that's undertaken this course has to already be working within the workplace. Have you got kind of any feedback from students in terms of how they manage their time between working full time and then also taking online study?
Yeah, so the feedback that we've got so far is that you do need to be dedicated is what they've put forward. You need to be like, you're going to work 40 hours a week in your routine unless you work less hours than that originally. And then you'll have to attend online lectures. But you don't have to attend them live. They are recorded, which is of some benefit, but you will have to complete your assessments. You will have to write reports over the summer period. So you need to be dedicated. You need to be in employment. You need to have the backing of your employer to get into this. But if you do, and you tick all those boxes, it is a way to get your level 8 degree in 12 months, because the other online options available, and to the best of our knowledge, it takes 2 years to do that in any other institution, whereas this is 12 months, and that will line you up to progress if you want to go further to a level 9 and onwards.
Yeah, definitely. So it's busy, but at least it's all contained within the 1 year.
Yeah, I suppose 12 months of hardship, for lack of a better word, and then you have your honours degree, and hopefully you can progress from there.
And you mentioned progression there. So in talking to students, how have they found the course has helped them to progress, or is there kind of options if they want to, once they've finished the level 8, of what they would go on and do next?
Well, the feedback that we've had, they've found the thought modules interesting as well, because maybe it'll give them experience in an area they weren't familiar with. So like if they had no experience of validation, then they will have experience from the modules itself. There'll be terminology that they'll become familiar with. So that's the benefit we've got from them so far in relation to the thought modules. I've kind of forgot what the question was, but that's okay.
No, I think that covers it. Yeah. And then I suppose the other thing I suppose people might be wondering is in terms of fees, because as you mentioned, these students have to already be in employment. So in general, would they pay themselves or would their employers pay?
So it depends on the company itself, and we've experienced this over the years, and with different. Every company will have its own, I suppose, strategy for this. So some companies will sponsor student up front, and they will tie them in then for a contract for a specific period of time. Generally, that's 2 years. Some companies will make the student pay up front and then reimburse them. Maybe it's 100% reimbursement, maybe it's 50, 60%. We would encourage students to be sponsored, because if they are sponsored, it shows that the parent company is making an investment in them, that there is buy-in there, and they do support the decision. And if there is buy-in, then there'll be more support then when they go to write their projects or need additional time, maybe certain periods, or need a bit of flexi time, then the company has already bought into that.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And I suppose I think that's everything for me. But was there anything else from the course that you wanted to highlight before we finish up?
I just in relation to the types of students we're talking about. So if you had students that maybe went out in work placement and didn't want to return to full-time education, they went out in work placement, maybe it was for 6 months, said, was there any way to actually physically stay and continue studying online? Then this would be an option. You could potentially stay indefinitely with the company and progress to level 8 and then level 9. That's one type of student. Other type of students we're talking about are students that may be in a role for 5, 10, 15 years. Went in on a level 7 ordinary degree, which was a trend maybe a decade ago, want to progress to a level 8. And I suppose they're mainly the two types of students. Looking at science students, maybe had a science background, or even those with maybe an engineering background who wanted to get a science or go into the science field, then this would be a path for that. But I suppose the type of student we're talking about, employed, dedicated to the cause to do this. It's not an easy strategy. It is a shorter strategy, but hopefully one that you'll find enjoyable.
Yeah, and they'll get lots from as well, I think. Yeah.
I suppose.
So that's everything, I think.
Well, thanks for having us in this evening, Rachel. It's lovely studio, and we'll talk to you again.
We'll talk to you again. Thanks, Colin.
Bye bye.